When my little girl, Heather, was a week off being 12 months old, I was making arrangements to go and see Alan and take Heather with me. I could only go and visit when I could get a ride. I didn't have any money. And there was an opportunity coming up that I could go to Strathmore and take Heather down. Now, Alan had seen her when she was 1 month old, and then he went and he never saw her again. Because I'm going out making these arrangements, but on one occasion I'm going out to lunch, and it's a bad day. And Mother and I were going with the 2 children, and she said, look, it's a nasty day. Why don't you take Stuart and go to your friends for lunch, and I'll mind Heather at home. So I said, well, that made sense. So I did. And I remember coming home on the tram from Hauraki and came out. I found a commotion at home. Heather had died in the pram. She'd been asphyxiated by a little strap that was in the big old-fashioned pram, and Mother hadn't seen her. She thought she was all right till she saw some bubbles, and Heather had died. Mother had a heart attack there straight away. A terrible situation. Well, somebody got in touch with the chaplain of the church, and I have to say, I'm very grateful to him. He got Alan home for 3 days. That was compassionate leave. We had Heather at home so that he could see her, because he hadn't seen her since he was a month old. He came home for 3 days, and what mixed feelings I had. There he was home at a time when I wanted to be happy, and miserable, because we had Heather home. The funeral had to be held at home. He was not allowed to mix with any crowd, and he had to report to the police station every day. And it was very brief. But I know it was expressed to me. I suppose I'm certain it never came from the person who said it, but it was expressed to me that perhaps that was a punishment. You've got to understand there were people there whose sons had been killed. I mean, in the community. Sons who'd been maimed, perhaps not killed, maimed. I have to look at it that way now. The community was suffering. Terrible pain. Terrible pain. Mine was a different pain. Mine was a different suffering. As soon as Alan got back, I'm waiting for his letter. And the mail comes, I open the letter, because I needed then some support. There's a little bit of scrappy paper torn out of a book. Sorry, I've lost my privileges. Love, Alan. Can't write for a month. And I didn't know what had happened. He'd lost his privileges. And I think I have to say this because I put it on the tape and it is important. I hated him. I really did. How could he do that to me? The one thing I wanted was a letter. And he'd lost his privileges, or the lowest privileges in his principles. And Alan was taken from Strathmore to Hautu, put in what they regarded as the bad boys' camp. We had a white feather, more than one occasion, posted in an envelope. I suppose I took a while to cope with that. It's funny, it's just a silly little white feather in an envelope is nothing. But what it signified, as being a coward, was difficult sometimes to accept. I remember on one occasion being in the city and waiting on a tram zone, and a woman said something to me about the war. Don't recall what she said, but I remember coming out and saying, my husband's a conscientious objector and he's in detention. I remember saying that very positively. And I believe the whole change in my life took place once I came out and made that statement. I know I had abuse after I made that statement, not on that occasion, but then I got courage and thought, I'm going to say Alan's in detention. And sometimes I got abused. People were very rude. But I know, looking back, it was a very positive mood and I know, it gave me a great strength.